Welcome, my food mood friends. Chandra Zas and Odyssey. Stoked you're here. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, then please go ahead and subscribe. 90% of my people watching my videos are not subscribed and following. If that's you, push that button. If you want to be in touch, if you're liking this stuff, you know what I mean? Anyway, so what I want to talk today about is role modeling and saying sorry.
Welcome! Here is your hostess and coach, Chandra Zas, helping people make food and mood changes doable without missing out. Go ahead, high five that like button, subscribe and share while you're there.
I have been just thoroughly enjoying this psychological experiment of having a little one, and really using the experience to see myself and to become the better version of myself, which I think is innate in all of us. When we become parents, we want to be the best version of ourselves, both for our kids and, in general. So I've been really leaning into this experience. And one of the things I've been playing with is whenever I see her doing weird things, or I always look back at well, how am I showing her that? How am I doing that? Where am I role modeling that to her? Hello, my friend. How are you? I'm in the Dead Sea, floating in the water. Go ahead and like and share and follow so we can keep in touch. And I had a really cool role modeling experience this last week with her, because one of the things that I've done over the years with her now is that whenever I noticed that I didn't really do something that was totally in alignment or not totally cool, or that was a little bit off, or maybe I said something to her, I said I was going to do something and then I didn't do it, or when I didn't give her a heads up about a transition, or when I just realized that I could have helped her out a little bit more. I've been really proactive in saying sorry to her and really acknowledging, hey, I realized that I had said this and now I did this and I'm sorry. Or when I one of the things that I've really been trying to catch with myself is not grabbing things from her hand. It's a really normal instinct, but it's not something I really want to. I don't want her grabbing toys from other kids' hands, and I don't want her grabbing things out of my hand. So what do? I need to role model not grabbing things out of her hand. It's something I have not been doing very well. I've definitely grabbed things out of her hands a number of times. So when I catch myself and I'm ooh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to grab that out of your hand. I wish I had asked for that. I'll try to do that next time. Just being really real with her, just being really being the human that I want her to become, and allowing myself to become that human in the process. This is my inner parenting world. So something really cool happened this week. I've been role modeling saying sorry, and I want to make a side note because I have married an Israeli. He's an amazing man. And Israelis, they don't say sorry very much culturally, normally. And to compare it to the opposite spectrum, Americans say sorry all the time. And in a lot of ways, I think that they over say sorry. They're sorry for everything and they don't really mean sorry. So I'm talking about the middle ground of meaning, when we say meaning that we're actually sorry, really acknowledging and making that connection and owning something. It's one of the concepts that I teach is emotional adulthood. It's owning, taking responsibility. So I have really practiced with my little one. And this last week, we had an afternoon that was really challenging. She was in this rebellious mode and did not want to listen to me. And we were hanging out and we decided to take a shower, and she was slurping up the water off the shower floor. And to me, it's a big deal. To me, there's a safety piece. I'm pretty cool with I really give her a lot of room to, I really question a lot of when are the important no's and when are the not so important no's. And I let her do a lot. I really do my best to give her as much freedom and autonomy and exploration, making messes and all kinds of things. But for me, there's a line when it comes to safety and health. So for me, sucking water off the shower floor is partly, not 100% way, but partly a health safety issue. Technically there could be poop germs in there, and technically that could make her belly really not happy and she can get really sick. So, and at the same time, she's in this phase where she is pushing all the lines. She's really testing us. She's really wanting to know how we're going to react. And part of the deal is like the more we react, the more she wants to know like how bad can we react and how much can she push that button. So there's this like constant like balance of like catching my own overreaction and not overreacting towards her. And then also finding the lines of like one of the things I need to enforce. And this day, this particular afternoon, she was just pushing all the lines. Like the shower was like the cherry on the top. And she didn't want to listen. And even though she stopped, then she like tried again. And like we were just doing this like dance of like, wow, being a parent can be sometimes like, wow, really, really intense. If you're a parent, you know. So we got out of the shower and I can't remember. I feel like something else happened. And then she asked me if I would do something for her. I think she asked me if I would come play with her or put a blanket somewhere. And I was being really honest with how I felt. I was like, I don't really want to do that for you right now. Like I'm really not happy that you're really ignoring what I was saying and you're not listening to me and you're not, said something like along those lines. And then she kind of like, and I looked her in the eyes and, and we had like this moment. And then she like came up to me and she's like, do you still love me? And I was like, of course I still love you. I always still love you 100%. Nothing can change that. And we hugged and then we let it go. And we had the rest of the afternoon. I don't remember exactly what happened, but like that was kind of the pinnacle moment. And then that night she had some stuffy nose and having a hard time sleeping. So I ended up sleeping with her in her bed. And we woke up the next morning and first thing she says is I had my back to her. She's like, Mommy, will you snuggle me? So I turn over and I put my arms around her. And then the next thing she says, I'm so sorry that I didn't listen to you yesterday when you were asking me to stop. And it was like this beautiful moment where I was so proud of her. Like she'd obviously like slept on it and part of her brain had processed it and she had learned something from the moment and she had learned from my role modeling. And she gave me this really beautiful, genuine apology. And it was such a rewarding experience to really witness her becoming this really awesome human that was able to own something that she didn't like, a way that she was not totally in her biggest self, which, I really watch myself from saying that because I think that little kids, it's this constant game of like encouraging them and showing them and role modeling for them to be their the better version of themselves, to do the hard thing, to catch themselves, to show up, and also not putting too much pressure on them. Like they're kids, they're developing, their brains are not fully capable and totally able to regulate like we bigger people can regulate. So I want to like be careful of like not putting too much pressure on her of like being this big person or being fully capable. But it was this awesome little glimpse of like that she can learn and she is learning and she can take responsibility and what that looks like and feels like. So I just wanted to share that as a fellow parent and let you know that it's possible to role model and become like, what I love is like, it's the double process. It's like, I get to practice being the better version of myself, the more grown up, the emotional adult, the honest, grounded, stable, loving, compassionate, patient, all those beautiful things that we like admire and want to be. I get to practice being that person. And one of my biggest motivators is to show her how to also be that person, because it's one thing to tell a kid how to be, and it's another thing to show a kid how to be. And yeah, this is the parenting that I'm investing in. This is how I help coach my clients in becoming. I mean, we all want to be that version of ourselves, that human that is present and loving and accepting. And when we mess up, that we say sorry, we own it. And instead of pulling away and being defensive and being reactive and blaming, that we reconnect and we own it and we apologize and we say sorry. And doesn't mean that we're bad people. It just means that we messed up, and then we do that sometimes. And there's freedom to mess up. It's okay to mess up. And there's ways to repair it and there's ways to own it. So yeah, that's my parenting. This is my inner world of parenting. If you're a parent who wants some help with managing your stress, less overreactive, sign up for a free call with me. I can totally help you. We can work together, and have a beautiful day. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much. Bye.